r/askreddit. Introverts of Reddit. What social interaction makes your battery down to 0% immediately? When you're at a party where everyone else knows each other. I hate going to parties where I know one, maybe two people. You want to interact with them, but don't want to follow them around like a little puppy dog because I don't want to talk to anyone else. More recently, husband and wife invited us to their house for a nerdy gaming party. Our hostess also invited other women from her workplace, and at one point the guys went off for dude hangin' time. This bitch spent nearly the entire party texting back and forth with her co-workers, giggling at privately shared inside jokes and Snapchats, and basically ignoring the other women there. Then, as a wonderful high point of the evening, I went into the kitchen for food and walked back into suddenly hushed whispers and awkward looks from the whole group. Any hopes of an introverted ally were completely dashed. Made me suddenly exhausted and just so fucking done. I held my head up because my soul was having a good time in the other room, but definitely not visiting Beth and her gossipy, high school acting entourage ever again. Definitely when you can't get your words into a conversation. You make an honest effort to be more outward, but people talk over you and you just give up. Especially when you actually have something to contribute in that 30-minute conversation that has gone by, but everyone won't shut up, so you wait patiently for your turn, but you sit, inwardly crying because they've changed topics twice now and there's no way to go back and say your piece that might have actually made you interesting. And then they comment, "You're so quiet," or "You should talk more," like, I had something to contribute to the conversation but couldn't get a word in edgewise, so here we are. When you finally have the courage and energy to share your opinion, but some loud arsehole starts screaming and trying to be funny. Big time. A lot of times it feels deliberate too. Yet the minute you overpower someone in a convo, you're a dick. Then they ask why you don't contribute to conversations. Going along to an event is a +1 and having to make small talk with all my friends' friends. Perfect opportunity to step out for a smoke. Sometimes I miss smoking just for the easy escape it provided. Agreed. I'm an extreme introvert, and while I love the idea of meeting new and interesting people, it's hard to do when the group is already familiar with each other and you're just the outlier trying to listen to everything said and read everyone so you can at least try to jump in and act like you're part of the group. But instead you sort of just are the quiet one for the day unless someone talks to you or you find an opening. And all they want to do is talk gossip about people you don't know. Let's go around the room and everyone say a little something about themselves. Now everyone get into groups of 2. Looks around room. Everyone has somehow already partnered up in 10 milliseconds flat. Sir, this is a 4th semester class. No one is still here to make friends. We're all just trying to get out alive. And I always think, why can't we just work, do the lesson and be complete strangers? I almost had a panic attack just reading this. Running into an old friend you've grown distant from. Like, do we acknowledge each other and have a full-on conversation, or do we just do the head nod and move on? The pretend I didn't see that person works too. Bonus if they also pretend they haven't seen you. Everyone wins. Oh my gosh, yes. It's basically a stranger you feel obligated to talk to. I've been known to go well out of my way to avoid that kind of interaction. One-on-one interaction where I'm sort of in charge. Anytime I'm leading around a new hire or intern at work and need to take them around all day, take them to lunch, etc. Exhausting. Being on point and being responsible for another person's experience of their day is just so much pressure. That's it for me, too. New trainee day is the worst. I like helping new hires, but for people who are brand new in my field, there's a phase where they start doing things on their own for the first time, but they're scared to mess something up, so they ask me alien questions. Which is fine, I encourage it, but it's incredibly draining on me. I literally had to escape the office for a bit the other day because my throat was aching from answering so many questions from someone. Almost took a nap in my car when I left work that day. It's kinda weird to think talking is more exhausting than anything else I do at work. For me it's the opposite. If I'm in charge it's much easier because they have to listen and follow me. There isn't as much of a battle to keep people's attention. Anything after work. Work is draining enough. I don't understand how people make plans after work school. I run home to eat and sleep. The arranged by management after work activities that are not required at all. But if you don't go you get tagged as not a team player. Type events are the worst. Bonus points if they revolve around drinking and you don't drink. I'm pretty sure my career at my current company is over due to not drinking with the manager after work. Why are you shy? Why don't you talk? You don't say much, do you? Are you not happy today? You're so quiet. What's wrong? I know, I hate this so much. I also hate when people just assume that I'm snobby since I don't talk to them, when actually I'm just terrified to be around them. I find if I have nothing important to say then there's no point in talking at all. Which is why small talk irritates the hell out of me. Office team buildings. Any employment related fun. From an introvert who delivers these sort of team building exercises. Don't worry, the other side is just as draining. Going to any store when it's packed. If I see a store or restaurant that is too crowded I just leave immediately. I just refuse to deal with that. This. Or restaurants. Unexpected people at a gathering, or many people coming and going. My in-laws seem to always have lots of random people living with them, and you truly never know who's going to be at their house until you walk in the door. I can't prepare myself if I don't know how many which people I can expect to see. My mom also tends to bring random people with her when invited over. Well, they were at the house when we left and they wanted to come too. I hate having unexpected strangers in my house. It instantly takes away the feeling of it being my safe zone. Probably not surprising that I don't invite my in-laws over very often, and it's extremely rare that I go to their house. They wanted to come too, because Mill invited them, told them it would be fine and that you have a more the merrier attitude, buff, and that it would be fun. Turns out it's completely awkward, you're pissed off, stressed and uncomfortable, the guest is uncomfortable, and Mill is oblivious. My mum does shit like that all the time. Inviting completely random people to family dinners etc. Then she gets upset when her introvert children complain. I'm kinda used to it by now but it drives my husband crazy. How's school going? Honorable mention goes to do you have a girlfriend yet? I'm focusing on finishing school right now. I'll get to GF after. Meanwhile the reality is that you're doing shit in school and you got no game. Oh yes. And you feel like you have to explain yourself. School is not made for introverts. I am so glad this shiz is over. Those two questions are usually only truly bothersome when the answers are A. School isn't going very well. B. You don't have one. Work. Customer service has made my skin crawl since day one, but it pays the bills. That's awful. Do you have to deal with phone calls? My social anxiety doesn't let me pick up phones with unknown numbers. When the really sweet, fast-talking 13-year-old girl across the street sees me out front and comes over with yet another little bracelet she has made for me. I don't hear well, in addition to being an introvert, and her chirpy little voice is incomprehensible. I don't want to be rude to her and would not hurt her feelings for anything in the world, but don't want to be her grandma, so it's very stressful. Kids are usually very receptive if you just explain what your problem is. I'm sure if she's sweet enough to make you bracelets then they'll happily understand if you explain your hearing issue. Family gatherings. Funny you mentioned that. I'm currently on vacation. My grandma is having a birthday get together this evening with about 16 other family members I don't really know and only briefly talk to every 3-4 years. I've already spent the last hour in my room and I'll probably be spending more time in here when people start arriving. I feel you. The worst is when your extroverted loud aunts can't leave you alone. So much this. I don't understand the family connection thing. I don't interact with my extended family anytime beyond these arbitrary holidays where we get together. I sit awkwardly and talk to my dad until we agree we've been there long enough to leave. I get why my mom likes it. It's her immediate family, but like I don't care about any of these people. Don't you mean death traps for introverts? One-sided conversations. The first moment they talk over me or interrupt and don't sorry I interrupted what were you saying me, my battery drains instantly. Yeah, that. If I have to dominate my way into a conversation by speaking over you until you stop talking then I've got better things to do. Arguments can drain me from 100% to 0 real fast. Confrontation in general I would say is my arch nemesis. It's even worse when it's a pointless one. It's bad enough when you're listening to one. It really bums the mood. Never mind when you're put in one personally. Every time I get into one, I always lose can't rebuttal because I don't know what to say half the time due to stutters that quickly make any manner of gathered thought shatter to pieces. TLDR, I suck at arguments. Helpful advice that is really just a bunch of judgments of your life choices in disguise. Also, any conversation where someone starts suggesting an essential oil blend will solve all my problems. It would have taken less effort to just say all interactions with my mother-in-law. I used to have acne, like a normal teenager, and everyone tried to help me. I never asked for help. Large parties or anywhere with booming music and drunk people. Yes, I can handle groups just fine, but all this loud music and the shouting gets me in 10 minutes. Loud bars, too. Why does the music have to be so loud that you have to shout at the person next to you? It becomes a volume competition between drunk people and music, and I gotta get out of there ASAP. I don't get why people love music at volumes that cause hearing damage. Like, what's the appeal? Malls? I hate malls. I'm an introvert that likes malls. I feel like there's a lot of interesting stuff to look at. Hate malls too. So crowded and teenagers I usually hang out there in groups. They are sometimes so loud and trashy and I get flashbacks. High school flashbacks are the worst. Going to places and then more people being there than I expected. Just a couple days ago I had plans for me and 2 friends to just chill at my house, and somehow I got roped into going somewhere else with 5 or 6 people. I spent most of the time hanging back on my phone listening to someone boast. Being on the receiving end of an extrovert monologuing, in a social situation where I need to play along, be friendly and engage for whatever reason. So why are you so quiet? Being taken to a club party where I know no one. Going to Walmart. Specifically Walmart and only Walmart. That place drains my very soul. I can go in happy, energetic, and social and leave wanting to slip my wrists in the parking lot while yelling at whoever was unlucky enough to come with me. There is this horrible frantic energy at Walmart that puts me on total alert. Having to engage in small talk really wears me down. Like 2 sentences in and I'm exhausted. I love deep conversations but small talk just kills my soul. Small talk. Been looking for this. Especially when it is an extrovert that can't stand silence. Car ride with them are so draining because you are essentially trapped, and since they can't have silence it is a constant conversation. Dude, if you drain all my energy, we are going to crash. Waitresses flirting for tips. Definitely the worst is when they play games like betting on riddles or something, really forcing the interaction. Likewise, flirty or demanding customers. First day of a new school. Like your new college classes and you have to stand up and say your name and what superpower you'd have if you could. An overly happy person. To the point where you think they are either faking it or wonder if they are actually that happy. For me it's the energy. It's hard to be around somebody that is really high energy. For me right now it's mostly talking to someone I don't know that well one-on-one. I don't like small talk. I prefer deep discussions of things, and if don't know the person it's hard to find a topic to go into a deep discussion about. That's why I prefer to have a few people to talk to at a time so they can talk about whatever they want to talk about and I can just add something when I have something to add instead of having to constantly think about what I have to say next. When people say something snide and I can't for the life of me tell if they were joking, sarcastic or serious. To expand on this, any social engagement where I can't immediately read the intention of the interaction. Are you mad at me? Just tired or bored? Should I try to be more entertaining? Was that a joke? Are you trying to kindly tell me you hate my life choices? I need answers, damn it. Mandatory team building exercises at work. I have nothing against my co-workers. They are nice people and I like them enough to make chit chat with them. I do not like them enough to do some stupid team building activity that just wastes time and is nowhere near as fun as the organizer wants it to be. In-laws. My children's friends parties. Forced interaction with all my kids' friends' parents drains me. When my social battery is running low, so I try to leave in order to recharge and get some room to breathe, but then people insist that I stay or make a comment about how I am such an introvert because I'm always leaving for my room. Instantly kills whatever intention I had of coming back. It's irritating being called out like that. Have any plans for the weekend? Dealing with extroverts, so tiring. I love befriending extroverts. I can just sit there and listen while they do all the talking. Wife, my friend is inviting her husband out to lunch. I want you to meet him. I called out to work the next day because I didn't get my alone time that day on my scheduled day off. Wedding days. Can confirm, was bride. Most exhausting day ever. Husband, also introvert, and I spent the entire next day on the couch, feet up on the coffee table, staring at the TV and napping and not talking. When I'm at a party with my husband where I don't know anyone, and he has to leave to get beer, go to the bathroom, help someone else, etc. Corporate functions. I'm on the spectrum, but I've learned how to bullshit my way through over the years. I manage several teams and honestly they don't need much managing. They're awesome at what they do, so I'll let them run pretty much autonomously. I clear roadblocks, which I do quite effectively because I have the time to formulate, write, edit, rewrite, etc. emails before they get sent. But in live group functions, it takes so much effort to be on the spot, it's just so draining. Bridal showers and baby showers especially, not only is it a room full of women with nothing to do but socialize, but it's usually a room full of women wearing clothes, eating food, and behaving in ways they wouldn't in any other setting. When seemingly benign topics of conversation set people off into outrage rants about how everything is a conspiracy or how everyone is out to screw them over. And every time you either disagree with them or try to clarify your point, they double down and catastrophize even more. I mean, fuck me for making small talk. I travel a lot in my work and it often includes staying in a remote city for 2-3 days, doing full work days at customer's facility, then coming back home. My survival technique are hotels. I find them calming as they're like airports. You've seen one, you've seen most of them. I get sent to a remote facility, but the customer's liaison guy invites me to their home instead. I politely decline and try all the excuses in the book, but he's not taking no for an answer. Eventually he starts to get insulted and my boss tells we kinda need this deal and asks me to go. After the flight I get picked up and we do a full day at the facility. Then we go to the guy's house. They have 2 children, who are hyper and think I'm there to play with them. I try my best to show happy face, but internally my battery has already dried for a long time. Finally the kids go somewhere and I think I have some time off, but now the guy offers me a beer. Okay, I tell him I've been trying to distance myself from alcohol, but he still drinks couple beers and becomes annoyingly talkative. At this point I'm screaming internally. It's at around 21 and I see this as a good time to go. It's been a long day. I think I'll go check my mail and stuff and go to sleep and head upstairs, which is my room. I hear them talking. The wife is telling the guy that I might see them as bad hosts if he leaves me alone. The husband however wants to drink more beer, so the wife comes up. To my horror I had absolutely nothing in common with her. She starts talking about their kids and goes on for over half an hour of oversharing details about their life, while my brain has already frozen from the whole situation. Finally I get to sleep and I get woken up over an hour before my time, as apparently the family has super long breakfast where they just slowly eat and chat about stuff. I have zero energy left from previous day and just stare into the void, while the whole family watches a stupid cartoon and they deeply analyze what's going on in it. I was supposed to have 2-3 more days of this, but I call my boss when I get a break and tell him I can't take this anymore. He now realizes I'm not joking and arranges an emergency job for the next day, so after the second day is done, we agree that the finishing touches will be done remotely now that the hardware is installed, and after the day I finally head back to the airport. My host is noticeably upset and on the way to the airport he tells me he had their relatives coming tonight and he had hoped we could have done something together. TLDR, to answer the ARP's question, my internal social interaction battery shorts and dies if I don't get a hotel for multi-day on-site jobs.